Welcome back, party people, to Crossplay, our video game podcast here at the Whatnauts. It is Sunday, July 5th, 2020, and this is episode 32. Right, we took the day off yesterday since it was Independence Day here in the United States, July 4th, so we are coming to you live on Sunday. Coming up on today's show, I didn't even fix the stuff that's on our notes, but coming up on today's show, Evo has been canceled. We're going to be talking about game prices and how they might increase, as well as the Xbox Summer Game Fest demo event. All that and more coming up in just a bit. But for now, my name is Kyle Springer, and I want to check in with my good friend Ignacio.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. Everything normal. It's been quite a boring week, to be honest, because now I don't have any more classes.
Yeah.
We've now entered into our winter vacations. So I haven't done much this week.
Wait,
just
so
woken up late and...
Are the seasons reversed? Where
Oh, yeah.
you are? I didn't know that. Oh, man.
No, yeah. The northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere have the seasons flipped. So summer over there is winter over here, and yeah, because of the hemispheres.
Huh. There you go. Science, kids.
Sure.
Yeah. So what? I'm now oddly fascinated by this. What is the temperature like where you are?
Do you mean right now, or?
Yeah, like what? Right now, because you said it was like winter vacation, so it you live in Chile, so I expect it to be like, out of my ignorance, like I expect it to be like hot and sunny and tropical and all sorts of stuff, but I have no idea what it's actually like there.
No, Chile is more like, it really is a lot like California, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's because we are relatively at the same place, just in different hemispheres. So it is kind of like California. So, and that being said, we're also, the country is mostly on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's all of it is just a narrow country. Most of it is on the coast. So that, of course, influences our weather.
Right,
we don't have much snow over here. I mean, we do have once you get closer to the mountains.
Interesting.
But
okay.
Since most of the cities are on the coastline, we don't get much snow. Granted, the city of where I'm at, we don't have the coastline. We're just enclosed by mountains right here in this city. So there are parts of the city where you do get snow. But right now, where I am at, we don't get snow.
Man, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it's been fairly boring week. I'd say.
How was it yesterday? You had these celebrations.
Yes, yesterday was good. It was fun. Of course, we're all still kind of in quarantine and stuff like that. So we had a couple people over, not much, but enough to have a barbecue. We made some burgers. We had some barbecue chicken. We had some kind of black beans with, I think it was ginger in them. They were fantastic. Okay. We had some homemade coleslaw. It was great. Had plenty of alcohol. It was good.
How were the fireworks?
There's been fireworks kind of all week. Though I feel like that's partly just the time of year, partly because of all the protests and stuff happening. Yeah, it's an interesting time, but yeah, we had a lot of fireworks. I didn't really get to go see them or stuff like that, but you could definitely hear them nonstop through. They went till at least like 1 in the morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that, I'm exhausted. It's a weird week because, like I said, it was kind of a boring week. Like not much
Yeah.
actually happened. But I feel oddly exhausted.
Oh no, I get it. I do feel like that right now. I've
It's
done
hard
nothing.
work being lazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's hard work. Too bad it doesn't reflect on your body. The hard work.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Well, let's dive into what we've been playing.
Sure.
Ignacio, let's get the Last of Us Part 2 update.
I finished it.
You did.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I finished it either Sunday or Monday.
Okay.
So much earlier than I thought. Than I expected.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, what did you think? Should we do like a 10-minute spoiler section?
It depends
Do
on
we
you. I
wanna?
don't know how much we want to go into spoilers or not.
Let's
Some of the things I want to say might be kind of spoiler-ish, maybe. Or I could
here's,
go around that.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set a timer on my phone
Okay.
for 10 minutes, and you will talk The Last of Us Part 2, and there will be spoilers. So if you have not finished it yet, and if you don't want to hear all of those, 10 minutes from right now. Okay. Ignacio, you beat the game. What
Yeah.
did you think? I know, right?
I don't know what to
Fuck.
say.
I still at this time, like, that is, I think, my main thing. I'm just like, fuck. Like, I don't know if I liked it yet or
Yeah.
not. Like, I did, but I didn't.
Yeah, no, for sure. Right now I can say I've said this before. Last of Us Part 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. Up
Mhm.
there, if we put in all of the Dragon Ball games aside, it might be my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Last of Us Part 2 doesn't get anywhere close to that.
Interesting.
To me, Part 1, without a doubt, I would say it's a 10 out of 10. I can't say the same for Part 2. There
See,
are
I
a lot of
think
things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think it's still a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
However, I just don't know. Like, it's not necessarily the story I wanted, which is fine because ultimately I didn't really want another story. I didn't want a sequel. I thought it was really good. It was great storytelling. I fell in love with characters that I didn't want to. I didn't expect to. But it was still just like even though I fell in love with Abby and Lev, like I still don't like what she did. Like I'm still fucking pissed. And at the same time, Ellie, who I love, is out there, and I'm just like, no, don't. What are you doing? Stop! Don't do this. Like I felt like she went too far.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
do share some of those thoughts. With regards to Abby, I do think that they did a great job of having you start to hate her. And for me, at least by the end, I get where she's coming from.
Right? Yeah.
I like that the game is capable of giving you a villain depending on whose eyes you're looking through it.
Right.
For Ellie, Abby would be the villain, but for Abby, she's not doing anything wrong. She is just trying to right a wrong that was done to her. She's trying to avenge her father, which is something that then Ellie does when Abby kills Joel. They kind of both have their same stories. They both are, in a way, trying to right a wrong done to them. I liked how they did that, how they were able to present to you a villain, but then have you empathize with that quote unquote villain and have you see the villain more now like a main protagonist, not the antagonist. I do think.
Oh, go ahead. Hurry.
I do think that the way that they did that could have been better done. They basically have you play as Ellie for half of the game, and then they take Ellie away from you and make you play as Abby for the next half of the game. And then what they do is that they now take away Abby, and then they have you play as Ellie again. And the problem I had with the way that they did it is that now for the first half of the game, Ellie is your main protagonist. She is the person as you're playing with. You are leveling her up. You're getting accustomed to how she plays. But then by the end, when you get to play as her again, I couldn't shake the feeling of this feels now foreign to me. Like, I haven't played as her in such a long time that it now feels odd to play as her.
Right, and
I couldn't shake that feeling until the end.
Different like styles.
Yeah. So you play as Abby for so long in just one go through that by the time that you now play as Ellie, it feels foreign, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was my kind of thing with the pacing. Like I feel like I understand why they made it that way, but I'm not sure that like intermingling them, where it's like you play a chapter as Ellie, and then you play a chapter as Abby, and then you switch and then back, and you know, I don't know if that would have given us the same effect of like, hey, I really wanted to hate Abby at the start, and in fact, I did. But slowly, as I continued to play as her, it was like, oh, I see where she's coming from, and I don't know if we would have gotten like that same feeling as effectively if they were mixed.
Yeah, and the other big problem that I have with part 2 is the end of the game. I do think that by the time you get to the scene at the theater again with Abby, I think that the game should have ended somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Either after their fight. I'm not saying that it should have ended. It should have gone. I don't know. The fight ends and then the game ends all of a sudden. I think that they should have done something more in there. But I don't like how it does feel like by the time that Ellie gets to that point, she realized that the path she was going on is a dark path. Right. She realizes when she kills Mel, she's pregnant and I become a monster. I like how she realizes that, and it feels like now she's gonna change. This is the turning point for her. But then the game keeps going on and keeps going and going, and she gets the happy ending. She gets to be with Dina and JJ happily in the home that they were talking about. They finally got the farm, but then Ellie isn't capable of letting it go, and then she keeps going down the path. She keeps going further and further down to the darkness, to the point that when you get to the fight, the end fight with Abby, I do think that it was weird how they did it, because from the point that Ellie is in the boat trying to chase down Abby to the point where she finally gets to Abby, all that is in her mind is that she wants revenge. She wants to kill Abby, but then she cuts Abby down, and then she lets Abby get left down. Nothing. You don't get any inkling of her changing her mind, her character changing, and she's just walking with them towards the boat, and she's about to let them go. Nothing changed for her, or we didn't see any change, any inkling of a change. They could have at least given her struggling with the idea of killing Abby, but she was about to let her go for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say it was for no reason, but I get where you're coming from.
But at what point did she change her mind?
I don't think it was a specific point. I
don't think that there was any point.
I think it was just a culmination of like, I've been through so much shit. She's been through so much shit.
They should have shown her struggle with the idea, because, like I said, from the point that she is in the boat to the point that she cuts Abby down, you don't see any change of her character. Any struggle with, she doesn't struggle with the idea of killing her. Nothing. But then when she gets there, it's like, okay, I'll let you go. Where did that come from?
it might just be those like that spur of the moment thing where she's about to do it, and then she kind of realizes like, oh, now I'm basically the Abby for someone else,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like
they didn't
I'm that
show her.
character.
At least they show that when she's about to kill Abby, when she's strangling her and having her drown, they
Yeah.
at least show that she has a flashback, which is another problem that I have. I do think that that flashback she gets comes out of nowhere. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like something triggers that flashback. It does feel like the director wanted to put that flashback in there so that Ellie could realize that maybe she's wrong, but I feel like the flashback comes out of nowhere.
Interesting.
That the director put it there, not that anything triggered that.
I really liked that end fight scene. Just because I don't think a video game has made me feel that way
Mm-hmm.
before. In this sense that like I felt uncomfortable with what me the main character was doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like usually video games are like, hey, you're the hero, you're super strong, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a big power fantasy, and in this one, yeah, you're wrecking people's shit, you're murdering them all, and then yeah, just like by the end, I'm just like, I don't know how I feel. So,
Mm-hmm.
there we go. There's 10 minutes for spoilers. How do I stop this? There we go. Okay. But yeah, so good game.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe doesn't live up to some of the expectations that some people had, but I still really, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think technically, for sure, it is a great game. And storytelling wise, I still think that The Last of Us is the best game out there for showcasing how video games can tell better stories than movies.
Yeah.
And I think part two is also a big example of that. I think that the game still does a great job doing that. But I still think that the game falls a lot in so many parts.
So,
Mm.
uh, let's see. You've also been playing Iron Man VR.
Yeah,
Tell me a
it
little bit more
finally
about Iron Man VR.
came out on Friday, and I've been playing it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so much fun.
Sweet. So,
It
all
really
right.
is so much
So,
fun.
because didn't they release a demo not too long
Yeah,
ago? Right.
yeah. They released the demo. I talked about it when it came out, and
That's
some
what I
of my
thought.
complaints that I had with that demo, I think that they were addressed now on the full game. I think that the problems that I had with the demo are not problems anymore with the game, with the full game.
Can you remind me what those were?
One of my there were small problems, to be honest. One of my problems was that you couldn't really hover. You
Okay.
either had to, because how the game works is that you of course play it with both move once, and so if you press the triggers on them, that means that translates into the thrusters on Iron
Right.
Man's gauntlets, firing up or down, or full power or no power. So that's how you fly. So the problem I had was that since that was the only way to accomplish flight, you couldn't really just hover.
Mm-hmm.
You either had too much thrust that you would go up, or too little thrust that you would go down. And that there was no real way to just have it be that you
Interesting.
hover.
So they've
Now
fixed that.
in the in the full game they have a button that it's just you hover.
Okay. Good.
So that's one problem done. The other problem that I had was that the game, by the end of the demo, gives you another, let's call it another weapon. Where Iron Man, of
Sure.
course, has his regular repulsors. You
Mm-hmm.
could shoot lasers through with them, but then you also get a secondary weapon, which in that case was rockets, with which you could target enemies. My problem was that I didn't feel like their way you could activate those rockets was consistent or good. But because the game didn't teach you how to use them on the demo, they just gave it to you and expected you to use them. Whereas in the game, they do actually have a moment where they have you train with those secondary weapons, and they teach you how to use them.
Okay.
So it turns
That's
out
good.
that to use your regular blasters, you have to raise your hand and palm up or hand up. Whereas if you want to use the rockets, you have to raise your arm and then palm down, and that activates it. And I think
Okay.
that for the most part, it does work. Although in some cases, I have had that moment where I want one weapon and I end up selecting the other one, and I just roll with it and whatever helps me kill the enemy. I'm glad. I'm okay.
Yeah. So how is the combat in that game? Would you say overall, despite that like wrist thing up or down, it's good combat?
It's so much fun to be honest.
Yeah.
So what the game is
Nice.
that you're basically Iron Man, and of course you're, like I said, you're flying. If you press on the triggers, you're flying. You're using your thrusters on the palms of your hand to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you move, and then you encounter enemies that are basically drones flying around. There are different types of drones.
Right.
And you're kind of like in an arena environment. So the game is basically having you fly around, finding these enemies, shooting them down, avoiding their attacks, finding the best strategy to. For example, there are some enemies that have shields. So the strategy that you have to implement there is that you have to let them shoot, because them shooting pulls their shields down. So you have to wait for them to shoot. You have to avoid their attacks and then shoot them.
Gotcha.
So it's so much fun flying around, destroying all these enemies. And although at first it does seem kind of like too much, you have to control too much, because you do have to be thinking that if I'm going to fly up, I have to aim down with my thrusters. If I want to move forward, I have to aim backwards, because that's how it would work with those thrusters.
Right. Yeah.
But by, I don't know, chapter 3 or 4, you get so familiar with that it's just so natural. Having to fly from here to there, now I just stop. Now I just ground pound. I just go straight down with my punch and then fly right after up to avoid the other enemies. It just becomes so natural.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's really, it really is a cool experience having you play as Iron Man. It's such a cool idea.
Man, I'm just imagining it in my head right now. I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be so sweet.
Yeah,
How
it is.
how is the story in this? Because I know it's not just like in a VR experience. You know,
No,
it's an
it is a full
actual
game.
game. Yeah. So
Yeah, it is a
how
full
is the
game.
story?
So the story starts with Tony becoming Iron Man and realizing that his company, Stark Industries, who is manufacturing weapons, he realizes that that's bad. That
Mhm.
he, indirectly at least, he is causing so much harm in the world that he decides to shut down their weapons division and now become a superhero to change the world, to be
Okay.
a force for good in the world. So that's how the game begins. Then it jumps forward some years, and then a new enemy appears that it's haunting Tony because of his past. The villain, which in this case is Ghost. It tells you pretty soon what the
Okay.
villain is. It's Ghost. She's basically taunting you, or not taunting you, torturing you with the idea that so many people died because of the weapons Stark Industries provided. So
Right.
many bad people. So that's basically the game. It's Tony struggling with his past, trying to do good because of the bad that came from what Stark Industries did in the past.
Okay.
And for now,
So
I'm enjoying it.
pretty
I do
simple
think
one.
that, yeah. I guess if you've read Iron Man stories before, I'm guessing that has been something that has been brought up quite
Kind of
a
yeah.
few
That's
times.
fairly standard. But I
Yeah.
I, I think that's a good place to start, and they didn't like try and go super crazy with it. Like, oh, you've
Hmm.
already seen the movies, so we're gonna do this thing. It's like, no, like let's just start them how it needs to be started, and then hey, if they make a Iron Man VR 2, then they can start expanding.
Yeah, the game has already done, at least from where I'm at in this story, has already done a job of expanding the world.
Cool.
You Tony has been an Avenger. You do get that quote at some point in the game where he has built Avengers Tower. And also in the mission where I'm right now, it's you going to the helicarrier and talking to Nick Fury about what's going on. Because
Cool.
there's this new basically terrorist there, so you have to go talk to Nick Fury to see what it will do. And you're in the helicarrier, and that mission is you trying to protect the helicarrier, which is so cool because you're in the sky with this huge platform that's so iconic,
That's
and you get to
awesome.
fly around it, and you have to protect the things that keeping up the helicarrier up. I forgot the name, but it's such a cool concept. But yeah, the game does a good job establishing a world. Uh, but the one problem I do have with regards to the story is that I don't think that the acting is that good, to be honest.
Mm,
But I do think that might be because of it is a VR game, a first person VR game, where it's a different way of controlling a character. You have
right. Yeah.
yeah the I don't know, the game director has less of a control of what the person is doing right there, and I do think that that has an impact on the acting in a way because you VR is about you being there, you being the character, and I do
Yeah.
think that that might impact the acting in a way. But that being said, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not distracting. It's just not that great for a game like now Iron Man and Avengers and all that have has this uh the name means so much. It means high quality to everyone.
Yeah.
So maybe because of that, it does get some points deducted because of the acting.
The one thing I can think of to maybe defend it in that
Hmm.
sense is since it's a VR game, like I just kind of imagine the focus is more on the tech rather than
Yeah,
the like, hey, let's tell a great story with great acting and stuff like that. It's just like, hey,
yeah,
can we make this guy fly and shoot things and stuff like that? Can hell yeah, let's do it.
yeah. That could be it. But also, the game has a lot of acting in it. A lot of they did put such a high emphasis on storytelling, and
Okay,
there are so many characters that you interact with.
okay,
But
fair
yeah, I mean,
enough.
like I said, it's not a huge problem, but I do think it's a problem that it's brought on because it is a VR game, and
Gotcha.
it's you being there, where instead of you seeing a character. But the biggest problem that the game has is the loading times.
Ooh,
They are so long.
oh man.
Yeah, no, and it's made so much worse because of the fact that it is in VR, so you are just basically stuck in there.
Yeah, you're just sitting
You
there.
can just look at your phone or whatever. So that makes it worse. And if you're playing standing up, you're just standing up there doing nothing. I've just had to put a chair in there because of the loading times.
That's
And
funny, man.
it's a problem that I've seen a lot of people talk about with
Yeah,
regards to the game.
I mean, now that we're almost getting PlayStation 5,
Mm.
people have also been talking about a PlayStation VR 2. There hasn't been much rumors about it. Um, but I'm wondering if we're kind of getting to that point where it's like, okay, the tech is finally starting to catch up.
Hmm.
Load times are really long now. We might need to start seeing some new hardware soon.
Well, I don't think you need a PSVR 2 to solve that problem because the main console is what's doing most of the processing, if not all of it. The VR unit does some of it, but not.
I didn't know that.
It does some work with regards of converting the signal into something that you can have in the helmet and have the movement of the helmet do all that stuff. But with regards of the game itself, the console is still doing all of the work.
Okay.
So hopefully with PS5, that wouldn't be a problem even in VR.
Okay. Makes sense.
But yeah, like I said, it's so much fun, and they put so much work into the game, into making even a fun playground to play around with it. One thing that you do in between missions is that you are in Tony's garage, and they did put a lot in there to do. Whether it's they have a basketball hoop there that you can actually use.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a basketball hoop. It's more like the one you would find on an arcade.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was fun messing around with for a little bit.
That's funny.
And also the other fun thing the game does that I haven't seen really in any other game is that the game has a trophy shelf or shelves where every trophy that you earn, you can actually see there physically displayed.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it's such a fun game. I love playing around with it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
About Breath of the Wild, looks like you're still playing that.
Yeah, I'm still playing through it. I've beaten now 2 Divine Beasts, and right now, specifically now, I'm exploring a bit more of the world, trying to get all of the towers. I haven't gone to the 3rd one yet. I did do the DLC trials.
Okay.
I forgot what they were called. I don't know. Did you play through the DLC?
I didn't do the DLC because I've technically never actually beaten Breath of the Wild. I did the 4 Divine Beasts, and it was like, okay, go fight Ganon. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go play Mario.
I did never finish it. But yeah, so the first DLC that they released was basically, so if you play through Breath of the Wild, you do get to the point where you can get the Master Sword.
Right.
The Master Sword is dependent on the amount of hearts that you have, so it isn't something that you can just go and get. When you get the Master Sword, the way that the weapon works is that it has basically 2, what do you call it? 2 power levels, let's just say. Every weapon in the game has a stat of how strong it is. So basically, the Master Sword has 2 stats for damage. One that it is in its regular state, and one when it is used against a certain type of enemy.
Right.
What the DLC did was that you go through 3 different sets of trials, and after each one of those, your regular attack damage gets closer to the secondary damage, which is higher than the regular one. And the challenges are so hard, to be honest. So what you do in each trial is that you are dropped into different rooms, let's call them.
Sure.
And some of these sets of room has different gimmicks, like there's just wind everywhere, or it's all hot, or it's all cold, or it's raining with electric storms in there. So the game just throws you in there with nothing. No clothes, no food, no weapons, nothing. And you have to go through all of these sets of rooms, just gathering what you can and using that to fight and find a way to beat all of them.
Yeah.
And even the quote unquote easy one, it is so hard. It took me a while to finish it, because I think, for example, that the first trial has maybe 12, 13 rooms. If you fail at the last one, it just kicks you out. You have to start all over.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, and as you go on through the trials, you get more rooms that you have to go through, and it gets harder also. So imagine being on the hardest one, getting to the last room, and you just die for whatever reason. an arrow that you didn't see just hit you in a way that it took away all of your life, and you have to start it all over again. It's so hard.
Do they let you keep like experience stuff of like, hey, I've gone.
Well, the game doesn't
through it
have
once
experience.
Right. But like, is there some way for them to make it so like, hey, if I lost the first 2 times, but I'm like slowly getting better
Nope.
at it? No,
You just get better.
just
You just
get good.
It's just you learning how to do that one room.
Okay.
I don't know, if you played through a room, say 2 times, 3 times, you understand what you have to do in order to actually beat that room.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no, you don't get anything. If you die at the last one, you get nothing. And so I've only managed to do 2 of the 3 parts.
Gotcha.
And for now, I don't think I'll go for the last one because it isn't that much of a difference that you would get for the Master Sword, for the attack of the Master Sword, and also it would take so long to actually beat it. And it also, when you go through it and you think that you have a chance to go through it, and then you die for whatever reason, it doesn't feel good. It makes you not want to keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got on Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
How's Gears Tactic?
Gears Tactics has been pretty good. I finally beat the second act of the game.
Do you know how many acts there are?
So there's like 3 main acts of the game: beginning, middle, and end. And I finally beat that like second chunk. So I'm in the end game now, as one Dr. Stephen Strange once said. And yeah, I'm still really enjoying the combat. I don't really have much else to say. I got to a part in the story that is a little bit more intrigue and story and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I was not expecting some backstabbing and stuff like that. But it's still, the story is kind of forgettable. But I don't remember exactly where this takes place in the timeline, or when they learn kind of about the origin of the locusts. That's their name, right? The bad guys with the rubs.
Sounds right.
Something. But yeah, like they, in this game they find it out, but I remember playing through the regular Gears games and they find it out in one of those too, like where they actually came from and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how that fits in there, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm hoping to have it done before Ghost of Tsushima comes out. But
how's the difficulty?
Taking it slow. I mean, I'm still on the difficulty below what I thought was the default one. I don't know if that is the default. I think I started the game out on intermediate, and that's that was like the hey, you've played some tactics games before, and you're looking for a challenge. And then I eventually moved it down, and I kept it there. And at first it was a little too easy, but it got to a point where it was just like, this is comfortable. I like this. Like it's enough of a challenge where I know if I fuck up, like I'm gonna be in some serious trouble. But it's still not super difficult. So it's comfortable, but we'll see. I'm like, this is one of the games that I think if they make a second one, it's gonna be fantastic.
Is there only one Gears Tactic?
Yeah. This is the first one that they made. Which, I mean, kind of speaks to it of like, it makes sense for it to just be a tactics game, because you're ducking behind cover and stuff like that. Like it just makes sense to fit in that type of game, and it does. It fits super well. There's just things that I think they could do better in and figure some stuff out, add more variety. But yeah, like it's totally fine, totally serviceable. The gameplay is fun. I just think they are going to knock it out of the park once they get to Gears Tactics 2.
Good.
If they make that one.
Yeah, if they do. I'm guessing they will.
I think so
Why wouldn't
too.
they?
But I also started Ori and the Blind Forest.
Ooh.
I played
How is
about
it?
the first hour, so I'm not super far in.
Yeah.
I got like my first map piece. I stuck that in. I got the wall run or like the wall jump thing.
Okay.
However, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the wall jump thing. And I'm wondering if it's because I'm using a PlayStation 4 controller. Which, again, it's like, you idiot, why are you using a PlayStation 4 controller to play Xbox?
No, I doubt it because I also played. I'm guessing I played more than an hour of Ori with a PlayStation 4 controller when I played. Yeah,
See,
I don't remember having any trouble.
I'm noticing that there are times when it does it just fine, and I can like run up the wall and hold on for a sec and climb up and get to platforms that I couldn't reach. And then there's times when I'm doing those buttons and it just does nothing. Like it hits the wall and just slides immediately down. And I can't tell if I'm supposed to hold the button down or if I'm supposed to continually hit the button because it seems to be really inconsistent. But again, I've only played an hour, so I might just suck at the game too. So,
are you usually Metroidvania type of guy?
Not really. Not in the like 2D platformer sense. But I've played through Celeste, which I know is not a Metroidvania per se, but it's that like
Metroidvania.
Right, but it's that same like 2D platformer style of stuff, which I liked that, and I loved Celeste, but that was also a type of game that I don't normally play. So I played for like an hour and 15 minutes ish, and then I got to a spot where I like started dying, and I was just like, all right, time to go do something else. Like I don't really want to actually figure out how to do this right now. But we'll see. We'll see how far I get with that one because I want to at least try out Ori and the Will of the Wisps since that came out this year, and that's also on Game Pass. But I thought I might as well try Ori and the Blind Forest first.
Yeah, I don't know how necessary it is for you to play Blind Forest before Will of the Wisps.
It's kind of what I'm thinking. Like to be honest, I put this game down to easy because I didn't really want to actually like sit here and figure it out. I was just like, all right, let me get the gist of the game. Let me figure out what the story is and stuff like that. And hopefully soon we'll move on to the next one.
Got it.
That one I'll play on regular and see how far I get with that one. Not typically a type of game that I play, so. But that's it. That's all I've been playing. Been watching a lot of TV this week instead. I've been catching up on all the CW Arrowverse.
Oh,
stuff.
Where are you at?
I just watched the Crisis on Infinite Earths cross.
You watch all of it?
Over. Yes, I watched it all.
How did you like it?
I loved it. I thought it was it was a great spectacle. It wasn't that great in terms of storytelling and stuff like that. It was kind of whatever. But yeah, just the whole spectacle of it was just like, this is so cool. I love this.
Yeah.
So, it was good. Good. But yeah, let's get into housekeeping, and then we will get on into the news of the week. All right. If you guys did not know, we have multiple podcasts here at the Whatnauts. You guys can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, or your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. And if you guys like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. However, at our $3 tier, we have some exclusive content, and I just put up our most recent exclusive video. It's an episode of the Reactor Core in which Melissa, one of our other hosts on our other podcast, as well as myself, we are reacting to movie trailers from the 2000s. We've already done one on trailers from the 90s. Now we've done one on trailers from the 2000s, and we are planning on doing one for the 2010s. Just to kind of get an idea of like how movie trailers have changed over time and stuff like that. What trends we see, stuff like that. And it's been a lot of fun. And we actually have a bit of an Easter egg on this one. So if you're a fan of the Marvel films, you might know what to do. Stick around for the like after credits thing. We have an extra bit there for you to check out. But last but not least, big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So right now, thank you, Sam, helping us out. We appreciate it. Thank you for supporting us for so long. And yeah, we appreciate it and we love you a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's get on to the news. Number one, Evo has been canceled. This is coming from Daniel Cooper at Engadget, who writes, fighting game tournament Evo 2020 has been canceled after co-founder Joey Mr. Wizard Quaylar, or I'm not sure how you say his last name, was accused of assaulting a minor. The esports tournament, which announced in May that it was going online only in the wake of COVID-19, will now not go ahead. In a tweet, Evo said that it was parting company with Cellular, again, I don't know how to say his name, who will no longer be involved with Evo in any capacity. Co-founder Tony Cannon will now lead the company, prioritizing greater accountability across Evo, both internally and at its events.
There was this one tweet that I saw. I think it was Imran Khan who tweeted it. And it was that it was Evo got cancelled. Evo Online got cancelled. Like in between lines, cancelled.
Yeah, this was.
I don't know if you get the joke.
Yeah.
It got internet cancelled.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one though. Like yes and no. Like like the guy got accused of assaulting a minor. Yes, good. Yeah. Like get the guy out of there.
Yeah.
I started seeing. I think I saw Capcom tweet out that they were pulling out, and then NetherRealms tweeted out that they were pulling out, and almost immediately after that, they were like, you know what, we're just canceling the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So the day that everything happened, I feel like it all happened so fast.
It did, yeah.
Like I remember seeing, I had no idea about what this guy had done. So I remember seeing on Twitter I think it was Mortal Kombat 11, their Twitter account putting out a statement about how they won't be on evil, how they are pulling out of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And then another company did that, and then another one that same day after all that. And then by nighttime, there were rumors, or not rumors, but I hadn't seen anything official, but people were talking about how Evo got canceled.
Right.
And then by the next day, yeah, it all came out that no, Evo is canceled right now.
Yeah.
It all happened so fast.
Which I'm kind of impressed that that's the move that they did. Like it's like I feel like they could have continued, but the fact that all of these companies were pulling out, right? It was just like, well, they're not going to get to play Mortal Kombat. They're not going to get to play any of the Capcom related games. I'm not even sure which games they had in there. So yeah, like I'm glad that they took such swift action. I'm surprised that they made it that drastic. I think it's a good thing though. But yeah, like I don't know. Like it was an online only event. I think they were opening it up more to the public, right? Where like just. So on one hand, yeah, I'm also kind of just like, well, that kind of stinks for everyone else.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I get it from a side of all these companies not wanting their IP to be like brought up in the same sentence as evil that's going through all this. So I do get it that they don't want to be associated with that.
Yeah.
That being said, it does suck a lot for all the people that participate on evil that had nothing to do with any of it. That they prepare so much for the biggest event in gaming competition.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, from literally one day to another, it all just went away. It does suck a lot for them.
Interesting story indeed. But hopefully, hopefully they'll get things figured out. They'll get things straightened, and next year Evo can come back stronger.
Yeah, hopefully.
It was, yeah. Number 2, game prices for next gen might increase. This is coming from Ben Gilbert at Business Insider, who writes, when this year's annual NBA 2K game launches, it will cost the same $60 it has always cost for current gen Xbox One and PlayStation 4 consoles. But when the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X arrive this holiday season, the next gen version of NBA 2K21 will cost $70. A precedent-shattering shift in the price model that the game industry has used for consoles for over 10 years. This I think is a long time coming. I don't know if it's as precedent-shattering as Ben writes here. I'm kind of expecting this. But yeah, it's still interesting to see that this is the first like concrete, like, hey, this is going to be $70.
Yeah, I mean, I do get it, but on this, it has been so long set for $60 that right now it increasing, it is kind of like surprising to me. Seeing it finally increase, which is something the world has had to deal with, something that the US clearly hasn't had to deal with. Because, for example, for as long as I paid attention to newer games, I think that every generation, at least here in Chile, games have gone up with each transition.
So how much do you pay for a normal video game?
Oh God, I mean, it's difficult, like talking about it in the sense of doing a conversion into dollars, because the dollar here it's ever changing.
So what's the name of your currency?
It's a Chilean peso. CLP. You can just say Google CLP to USD.
Okay, so if I type in $60
to CLP.
to COP.
CL.
Oh, CLP.
L.
Right? I don't know if that's right. Come on, Google.
Let me Google it myself.
I did dollar to Chilean peso, and it says that $60 is
48,150 pesos.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean,
that is
like
right.
I said,
then.
it is right. I mean, the reason that it is so hard trying to convert all of that is that that rate, it changes all the time. Right now, it's at its highest that it has ever been.
Gotcha.
So that's why it's hard.
So
But that's more or less what a game here costs.
Gotcha.
If I were to go buy it on a regular store, that's more or less what it would cost.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I know Australia also, they pay a lot more for games. I think it's closer to like $100 is what they pay.
Got no idea.
But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that it hasn't gone up because games have gotten so much bigger, they've gotten so much more expensive to make, and instead of increasing the actual price of the games, that's how we started to get things like loot boxes and monetization in all sorts of stuff. Buy this new skin, buy this new thing, buy this new who knows what, right?
Yeah, that's one of the interesting discussions that has come from it. Whether $70 does mean that they will get indeed more money. Because one thing that you learn when you study economics is that increasing the price doesn't always mean that you will get more money.
Right.
For example, let's say you have a pool of people and you have a certain product that you want to sell. Say you try to sell that product at $10, and because of the $10, now 20 people want to buy it. That's in the end $200 that you get. Whereas say now you set the price at $15, now only 10 people will buy it, which is then translates to $150 that you get.
Right.
A higher price doesn't always mean that you will get more money. So that's one of the interesting things that we'll see, whether or not people will go with the price increase. Do you maintain the same amount of people buying the game at $70 as they did at $60? What's the drop off of people? How many fewer people are buying the games? And that does that in a certain way cancel itself out, that you do get more money. I'm interested to see. I can't say whether you will get more money or not now.
Yeah. The interesting thing to me is that we still don't know if Sony or Xbox will be pricing their games
this is only
way.
What, 2K?
Yeah. NBA 2K is the only one that has officially announced that it will be $70 for the next
we know
version. So
this is all assuming that everyone else also goes with the price increase. We know nothing now.
Right, like Sony and Microsoft could be like, nope, it's still $60, and then NBA 2K is like, whoops, we're also $60 now.
And it also could be that 2K feels like they can indeed sell their game at a higher price and get more money, whereas maybe Sony, Microsoft, and every other developer could get to a different conclusion that no, $70 will mean that we get fewer or less money.
Is really interesting to me because I think for a long time a bunch of like sports games, they've brought up the fact that like, hey, not much really changes in these games from year to year. So should we be paying full price for these things? Should it be more like a $40 thing, and then maybe every year pay a small fee to update the roster and the features or something? Like, it's an interesting thing. I think what I did not see in this article, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can get the, like, if you buy the PlayStation 4 version and you want to upgrade it to the next gen, you can get the special edition version, which I think is the Kobe Bryant Black Mamba edition, and it's $100.
Yeah, so 2K isn't really doing like a conversion. If you have a PS4 version, you get a PS5 version for free.
Right. They're not
I do
doing
see this
smart
more like
delivery.
yeah, it is more like you pay $100 and that will also include an extreme version.
Yeah, which, to be honest, I feel like is kind of shitty.
I don't really see like that because I know right now a lot of people are expecting from publishers to just give out the next gen version.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we are at that point yet to actually expect that from people.
Right. You make a great point there, but
Mhm.
I know it's a collector's edition.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if I've heard anything about like, hey, if you just bought the regular version, if you bought the $60 version and you don't want to get the collector's one, but you still want to upgrade, like I don't know if they've announced anything for that of like, hey,
Yep.
pay $15 and you can update that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I doubt that they will actually have a different conversion method where you
Mm-hmm.
pay a certain amount of money and you will get the upgrade version. Because I do feel like you $100 for the collector's edition. That means that if if you were to buy the PS4 version and the PS5 version separately, that's $130. So in a way, you would be saving $30 with that purchase. So I do not see them
That's a good
having
point.
this other alternative, giving you yet another alternative.
Yeah. Let's see. I had something else I wanted to say that was interesting about this story, and now I completely forget what I was
Mm.
going to say.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to bring up
Go for
to
it.
your point earlier that sports games in general do tend to seem that they don't justify necessarily another $60 purchase when you get another game because it does feel like it's mostly just roster updates.
Mm-hmm.
This week we did see a lot of people getting mad at I think EA because something came out as to what new things will be in the next NFL game, I think, and people were pissed that that didn't seem much like it felt like that should have been an update.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's
something I wanted to bring up.
kind of what you get when they have to push them out like every 9 months, right?
Yeah, yeah, more or less. Yeah, you don't get any much done in such a short period of time.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to number 3 here on our news list. Number 3, Xbox Summer Game Fest demo event is going to be happening later this month. This is coming from Glenn Gregory over at Xbox, who writes, as announced by Jeff Keighley as part of Summer Games Fest, Xbox is proud to reveal our Summer Games Fest demo event. Will be live on Xbox One from July 21st to July 27th. We'll have more than 60 brand new game demos for upcoming unreleased Xbox games available to check out for free. Look for the special Game Fest demo tile on the Xbox One dashboard that week to find the collection of available demos. What do you think
Such a
about
cool
this one,
idea.
Ignacio?
Oh, it's such a cool idea. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that they are doing this. That's one thing that I wanted publishers to actually do for the longest time
Mm-hmm.
is actually release their game demos that they usually reserve for events. Just release them online because to me, in particular, I'm not able to play any of these demos that you'd see at events like E3 or PAX or whatever because none of those come here, of course. So it is a cool thing that they are doing this, but one of their struggles that they will have to overcome, which is one of the reasons that they publishers don't do this, is that these are games that are so early in their development
Yes.
that the fear always is that people will see these demos as indicative of the end product, and so that's usually why developers don't actually put their demos online because of that. They are usually in such an early state. So one of
Which
their
is
struggles.
interesting
Mhm.
because they put that in this big long
Yeah.
blog post on Xbox. They have a few bullet points that are just like, hey, here's a few things to keep in mind. And yeah, it's basically saying that. Like, these are very early. Like, these are going to be broken. These are not going to
Hmm.
reflect the actual game. And some of these things might be games that won't come out for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
So that's one of the struggles that they will have to overcome, and
mhm.
I'm curious to see how they will actually do it, because I don't think that just putting it now on their blog post will actually do anything. I'm
Mhm.
curious to whether or not whenever you go to play the demo, do they just put some text on the screen that is just, hey, this is an early build. Please don't think of it as indicative of the
Right.
end, end product.
Right.
I do wonder how they will do it. If they do it. I think
We'll
they should.
see. Yeah,
Hmm.
I still think this is a phenomenal idea because
Yeah.
if nothing else, I think it's just good that they're being transparent. That, like, hey,
Hmm.
this is what the press normally gets to play when they go to
Hmm.
E3 or they go to who knows what Gamescom or stuff like that, right? And I think
Hmm.
normalizing these kind of broken early state games and stuff like that, where it's just like, hey, here's a concept that we had, here's an idea, here's what we're working on. I think doing that will kind of, in the long run, will be a good thing.
Hmm. And I do wonder what type of games they will actually get on board, because I do
Well,
think that a lot of developers will be gun shy about showing demos to the whole world.
so in the
I do think
post,
that.
they say
Hmm.
they have somewhere between 75 and 100 games when the dust settles. They will announce a
Hmm.
full list closer to July 21st, but here are some of the highlights. They mention Destroy All Humans
Hmm.
demo. That must be the remake.
Yeah.
There's one called Hellpoint, which is an intense action RPG. Um, they have Skatebird, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, an audio-based action-adventure game that unlocks the full potential of the 3D spatial sound. Let's see, what else? They mention
These are
Welcome
all
to
smaller
Elk.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all smaller games. Uh, I think that that is to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seeing the list of games that they have, this is the type of games that I was actually picturing that they would actually have in there. So I
Yeah.
wonder if they will get support from bigger publishers.
Maybe. We'll have to see. I
Hopefully.
think that is, especially with some of the bigger publishers, I feel like they like to be a little bit more tight-lipped, right?
Hmm.
So maybe not, but knowing Jeff, he can kind of usually pull one or two strings,
Yeah,
and
that's
make something
that's
happen.
that's one thing to talk about, is that this is a summer game festival.
Yeah,
This is actually Jeff doing something with the brand and actually making, hopefully making something happen. I don't know if Microsoft had already this plan in motion and Jeff just came there and said, "Hey, why don't we do it under this umbrella?"
it was
Hopefully, it is something that
probably
Jeff
a
actually did.
mix of things, right? Just like, hey,
Yeah,
you're not going to get to be at E3 because there is no E3. So now you have all of these demos that your teams and stuff were working on. Why don't we do something with them?
yeah,
Um,
and it being Jeff, it means that you will probably see bigger games in here, because if you don't know, Jeff Keighley is usually, if I'm not mistaken, the one who actually prepares and actually puts on Judges Week.
Yes.
So this week is something that a lot of news outlets go out and play games before that they are released, even before E3. This
Indeed.
happens
Yeah.
usually before E3. So Jeff usually gets bigger names into that event. So hopefully that caliber of games actually translates into this event and we actually see bigger games in here.
Yeah. Hopefully. This is a
Hopefully.
fantastic idea.
Mhm.
But moving on, number 4, Xbox Lockhart to release after Series X? Question mark. This is coming from Sharif Saeed at VG247, who writes, according to a report from The Rot, Microsoft initially planned for Xbox Series X to launch in late August. Xbox Lockhart would later follow mid-October. Coronavirus obviously altered these plans dramatically, but it's interesting that Microsoft originally planned to launch earlier than the usual November spot. So for those of you guys who are unaware, Xbox Lockhart is kind of the code name for the like smaller Xbox series.
The budget Series
Yeah,
6, I would say.
yeah. That's a bit better word, not smaller. But yeah. So what do you think of this? Is this kind of what you were expecting?
No. I mean, I
Not
put
at
the
all.
story here because I thought this was an interesting thing to see that Microsoft had planned for even the Series X to be released so soon, so early in the year. And to also
Yeah,
see that they might have planned for the Lockhart to release after the Series X. Whereas I thought that they would release those at the same time.
interesting. Yeah,
That's why I put it here. It's so interesting to think
it
that
kind of
this is
makes
what could
sense.
happen.
Kind of makes sense if you think about it,
Sure.
because they unveiled the console last December, right, at the Game Awards. They've shown it off, like they've shown off the tech, they've shown off the hardware, and yeah, like it makes sense around that time to be out, just based off what they've shown us. But then, of course, we didn't know COVID would be doing its thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm expecting them to move back to that November spot or something like that, but we'll have to wait and see.
And also, the Lockhart still baffles me as to why it is a thing, because it is supposed to be, like I said, a budget Series X, but the One X is already that. So I wonder what Microsoft will do to differentiate the Lockhart from the One X. How they will make it more powerful than the One X, but less powerful than the Series X, and how that will affect their marketing and how they will showcase their own games.
I would.
It still baffles me
If you
that
don't
they have this console
already, I would go check out Podcast Unlocked and listen to Ryan McCaffrey talk about this stuff, because he knows a lot about all of the Xbox stuff, and so he's usually able to speculate, or at least have some good information on what this stuff might be like. And from what I gather, take this with a grain of salt, because I'm not sure how true it will actually be. But from what I understand, yeah, that's ultimately what they're gonna do, is eventually phase out the Xbox One X in favor of Lockhart. Lockhart will then differentiate itself because it will still have the guts of the Series X. Yeah, basically, not the exact same ones,
less
but
powerful.
it will, just a little bit less powerful, but it'll still have that like solid state drive, stuff like that, which is something that the Xbox One X currently does not have, if I'm not mistaken. So that will still improve load times. It will still like it will still help things in general.
Yeah.
But It also
I
might
guess,
not have
yeah.
a disk drive. Might save on that too. Who knows?
I still think that removing a disk drive won't affect the price that much because we saw it with the one all digital edition,
Right.
that they just took away the disk drive and that only reduced the price on $50.
Yeah. So,
It didn't
we'll
do
see.
much.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's been some rumors coming out here about Lockhart here and there, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
or look
it's
like.
still so interesting that they haven't actually officially talked about Lockhart, because to this point it's still just rumors.
Yeah.
There's nothing concrete actually about it, but it's something that the industry has known for months already, since the beginning of the year, if not last year.
I'm wondering if it is also a COVID thing where they would have announced it, they would have talked about it, but because COVID happened, maybe they even potentially put some of the production on hold. It's like, hey, let's focus on our main one first, and then once we get that out the door, then we can be like, and next up in this corner, half the size, but still the same heart.
That might be one of the reasons that they would eventually release it after the Series X.
Yeah,
like you said, focusing on the development of the Series X only. But I think rumors are now that they will reveal the Lockhart on August. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 5, which is all about Tencent. Tencent is launching a new studio here in California, here in the good old US of A. So this is coming from Pei Li at Reuters.com, who writes, Tencent Holdings, China's biggest social media and video game company, launched a new California-based studio this week as it looks to further expand its presence overseas. The new studio, Lightspeed LA, will be led by former Rockstar veteran Steve Martin and will focus on development and publishing of AAA titles. Tencent Games' Lightspeed and Quantum Studios said in a statement to Reuters. What do you think about this one, Ignacio? Interesting one. Yeah, I'm a little. It's one of those things that on the surface, like if you don't know, it's just like, oh, sweet, cool, new game studio, right?
Yeah, but the fact that it is Tencent.
It's Tencent.
That's
yeah, they are one of the biggest like Chinese mega corps, and
they have their hands on a lot of aspects of the games industry.
They do. They are slowly eating it up.
To the point that, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, when something happened in China. I remember that. I don't remember the specifics, but because something happened in China and Tencent is Chinese, the impact that would have on the games industry as a whole was mind-blowing. How one company would have that much influence on all of the industry.
Yeah.
They have their hands on so many pies.
Yeah, so I'm looking in this article here, and later down it says, the company has most recently hired Halo 4 lead designer Scott Werner to head another newly minted new studio grouped under Teamy Studios, the maker of Arena of Valor and Call of Duty Mobile. I think those are the same people working on Pokemon Unite, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, because they did bring up Tencent when they revealed Unite.
But then immediately after that, they write, Tencent is also the owner of League of Legends creator Riot Games and has majority control of Clash of Clans maker Supercell.
I think they also have a lot of stock on Epic.
Yeah, I think they have. It's one of those things where it's like 49% or it's 51%, something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah,
Yeah, no, Tencent
interesting.
has
Yeah,
a lot of money.
they do. It's one of those things that you kind of need to be skeptical of and keep an eye on, I think.
Yeah, what's again interesting here is that Tencent has their hands on so many parts of the game industry. Why make their own studio?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Why not just buy out another one, right?
Yeah.
Was it Rocksteady that was potentially up?
No, it was all of WB games.
All of WB games. Well, still included Rocksteady,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, still like.
God, can you imagine if Tencent bought WB games?
Goodness gracious, yeah, like that's a good question. I wonder if this is more a long-term play, for them to not necessarily, because I think buying a studio outright here in the United States might not go over so well. And I wonder if they start their own and just start hiring different people and stuff like that, and be like, look, we're here to make some new IP, focus on AAA games that will especially target a Western market. Maybe they're hoping to build up some goodwill with that, and then
maybe,
I don't know, who knows,
or maybe it's
down
just
the road if they'll start getting out of all of these pies that they're in. But
maybe it's just Tencent trying something new. I mean,
yeah,
they already either own part of companies or own a majority of companies. Why not just see how having their own video game company actually goes for them?
Maybe they're like, I'm tired of sticking all my goddamn fingers in all these goddamn pies.
No, they love all those pies. They love all those.
Indeed. Something to keep an eye on for sure. So that about wraps us up for all the major news stories for this week. Let's move on to our new and notable section. Ubisoft has a brand new battle royale game, Hyperscape. Is that the whole name?
As far as I know, yes.
Hyperscape?
Maybe.
I don't know why I thought it had something else. It was like Hyperscape something. Let me see. Hyperscape game. You might be right. It might just be that. Yeah, that's it. Hyperscape. Looks like it is a free-to-play battle royale with a cyberpunk twist, like a sci-fi cyberpunk twist.
I don't know necessarily cyberpunk, but yeah, it is kind of futuristic. To be honest, I haven't seen much of the game. Now that I think about it,
I've seen a little bit. I listened to a brief thing. Michael Hyam from GameSpot was talking about it. Seemed like it was pretty decent. It seems like they need to balance some things, but they do their loot system a little differently, which I thought was kind of interesting. So in games like Destiny or Apex, I think a lot of people are used to you have like the epic tier loot, you have the like orange tier, the purple tier, stuff like that, right? In this, all of the loot starts out the exact same. Like it's all just the base level loot. And if you collect multiples of that same loot, it upgrades it. So if you find a shotgun, that is the only shotgun or the only type of shotgun in the game. But as you continue to find more shotguns, then it starts to upgrade it and be like, okay, now you have a stronger shotgun. Now it has more of a blast radius. Now it has a secondary fire or something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at gameplay right now, and the game is so fast.
Yeah,
I've heard people talk about how fast it is, how they are comparing more to an Unreal Tournament game, which are games that I love. But yeah, no, the game is so fast. I'm looking at someone play right now.
That's what I've heard too. It's more like the arena shooters.
Yeah, and it's cool that it is one environment. It is only a city, but it's a big city. There's a lot of high ground in there, a lot of tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It looks cool. And also, I think that the game has an interesting release rollout. I don't know if you saw any story about it.
I know it's going to be free to play. It's free to play now, but I think they're doing something similar to what Valorant did, right? You have to get a
it is
drop.
free to play, but yeah, you have to get. Oh, that's one of the things that we had to talk about. The game is tied to Twitch.
Yes.
They developed it with Twitch in mind. With Twitch. So there's a strong Twitch element on it. And I think that if you watch streamers for a long enough time, you get a key for the game. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Devolver Digital is having their Devolver Direct on Saturday, June 11th at 12 p.m. Pacific.
July.
Oh, did I say June? I meant July. Thank you. Yeah, that'll be next week, right before we record our podcast for this next week. They usually do some kind of silly, wacky something. So their stuff is fun, or at least interesting to watch. So be on the lookout for that and all the new stuff they have coming up next week. Next up, though, the PlayStation Plus games for July are going to be Rise of the Tomb Raider, NBA 2K20, and we get a third one month because I think it's the 10th anniversary of PlayStation Plus or something like that.
Which I expected something bigger from the 10th anniversary.
Yeah. I did too, but the third game that we get is the FMV game, Erica, which I already have Tomb Raider.
Yeah?
I'm not a big sports game. Erica, maybe I'll try because I haven't really played anything like that.
The thing with Erica is that I haven't heard anything good from it.
Interesting.
I've heard negative stuff about the game.
Well,
I don't know. I haven't played it. I have no idea what it even is. So that's what I've heard. Yeah. But yeah, then Tomb Raider, that is a great game for people that haven't played
it. It is. Yeah, it is a good game, that's for sure. But it's also, that's the first one, right? Rise of the Tomb
No, the second
Raider?
one.
That's the second one. All right, cool. So that one, that one's a little bit bigger. I was hoping for Shadow when I saw that it was going to be a Tomb Raider game, because I've played the first two, but I haven't played that third one.
You know,
come on, Schwartz.
Yeah,
come
the third
on,
one
Schwartz.
Isn't great, to be honest. It is good. Yeah, but something interesting that I just thought about is that if I remember correctly, by this point, last generation, one of the PS Plus games was the first Tomb Raider game.
Yeah.
So now they're giving the second Tomb Raider game at about the same time, the generation. I just thought that was interesting.
Speaking of free games, let's go on to our next one, which is the Xbox Games with Gold. For July, we got WRC 8, which I'll be honest, I have no idea what that is. I think it's a racing game.
How do you not know?
I looked it up, and the like name of that thing is ridiculous, and it does not describe what it is.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of.
It's like WRC rally something. So I was like,
there's an eighth version of this game, apparently.
Yeah, who knows? But WRC 8 as well as Dunk Lords, which sounds like an arcade basketball game. But then for Xbox 360, which is also available for backwards compatible stuff, you guys can also pick up Saints Row 2 and Juju. Juju. Go. The free games, free games. Go pick up those free games. But with that, let's move on to our upper runners. Fallout is getting an Amazon Prime TV series, supposedly.
Cool.
Yeah,
no, that's supposedly. I think it is official.
It's they did like officially tweet it out and stuff like that, but it's always one of those things like I'll believe it when I see it.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that
should be interesting. I'm wondering how they're gonna capture like the heart and soul of I think what modern day Fallout has gotten to be, which is that it is this like buggy mess.
No.
Like,
what do you think that they will translate that into a show?
I don't know. Like I kind of expect it, just because that's what the games
How
do.
do you do that?
But yeah, like I don't know how you would do that. I don't think that's really the vibe that they're going for. But we'll see.
I do wonder what route they will go with the show, because I think that there are two interesting ways that you could go with it that I would like to see. Mm-hmm. One would be an anthology series revolving around
interesting.
all the different vaults. Because if you don't know about Fallout and its lore, the vaults are really more like human experiments, like society experiments.
Each one had a different kind of experiment within.
Yeah.
Them.
For example, Vault 69, I think it was like 99 women and one man, and just to see how society will go. And then Vault 68 is the gender swap. And then there are some crazy vaults out there.
Oh, yeah.
There are only a few that are actual vaults made for preserving humanity. All of the other vaults are just experiments. But yeah, that's one interesting route that they could go. The other route could be more about the outside world.
Of what's happening out there, yeah.
Yeah, because at some point, humanity does start to reappear outside. Once the nuclear fallout disappears, society starts to rebuild, and now we get all these different factions that I think could be interesting to see in a show. You get the Brotherhood of Steel, you get the society with all of the scientists, you get the Minutemen.
Yeah. I wonder if we're gonna get a little bit of everything in that. Like I feel like they'll most likely pick one vault. The main character is gonna be, from that vault, and they escape, and then it's like, oh yeah, they run into the Minutemen and the Brotherhood of Steel and all that
Which
stuff.
Would be like the typical plot for a Fallout game.
Yeah. But then I'm wondering if we're gonna get like a B plot that is like, here's another vault that hasn't opened up yet, and here's the stuff that's going on inside. And I'm wondering, like, they have, and this is a very strange opportunity that they have. What if that vault, the whole experiment with that vault is that it was to be a reality TV show thing, right? And it's like the office, but it's inside the vault.
Sure.
Which they could also do something completely different and kind of do a different take on this thing. And like we've like the whole world has basically now been in quarantine for a while. Like we know what it's like, kind of, to be in these bunkers and these vaults. Like what if they update it a bit so that it's not necessarily nuclear, but it's like a deadly virus or something?
No, I mean the name of the game is Fallout.
Sure.
It has to be nuclear.
Right.
I mean, nuclear weapons and nuclear everything. The whole Fallout universe revolves around that, about the whole nuclear energy. So I do think one of the interesting things would be actually showing the moments before everything went to shit. Like showing the conflict that led to the whole nuclear warfare. That would be an interesting thing to show.
HBO did a show on that called Chernobyl.
Sure. But they could have it. They could have their own Chernobyl competitor.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
I think that's one interesting thing that you could do.
They have some interesting opportunities with that show.
Who knows? Who knows if it will actually come out, like you said before.
Next up, PlayStation has pulled their advertising from Facebook and Instagram for the entire month as part of the Stop Hate for Profit campaign.
I didn't know it was just for a month.
Yeah, I thought it was permanent too, or just indefinite thing. But yeah, it's apparently only for a month. And yeah, we talked a little bit about Facebook last week when Mario was here. And we were talking with him about Mixer shutting down and Microsoft being like, okay, everyone go to Facebook Gaming. And everyone's like, oh, but it's Facebook and they're not great. So yeah, this news came shortly out after that. So hopefully this kind of makes a statement and can help them. I know Sony is not the only company to do this. I think last week I mentioned that there was that Facebook was losing a lot of money from advertisers pulling out, stuff like that. So hopefully they whip some things into shape.
Yeah, hopefully.
Next up, Andy McNamara, Matt Cotto, and Leo Vader are all leaving Game Informer. I thought this was an interesting one because Andy McNamara has been with Game Informer forever, it seems like. So, yeah, that's an interesting story. We know last year Game Informer got a bunch of layoffs because they are owned by GameStop. Of that stuff, and GameStop is not doing well. I know a bunch of them quit Game Informer and went to go start MinMax, which I really enjoyed their podcast. And I know at least Leo Vader is now going to be joining MinMax with them.
So I heard that Andy was leaving Game Informer, and from what I've heard or read, it did seem like it wasn't that he got fired. It was that he just left for whatever reason. I don't know if that's the case for everyone here. I don't know if that's really the case. I don't know. Have you read about it?
I have
why
not,
they left?
I've not read why yet, but I know Kind of Funny had an interview with Andy on We Have Cool Friends, which is one of their podcasts, and I'm sure they're gonna be talking about it with Leo on MinMax. We'll see.
I remember, they done stuff with Game Informer before. I mean, I Kind of Funny now part-time employees Imran Khan, who's former Game Informer. So I do expect to see more of the Game Informer people pop up in there and maybe share their story.
Yeah, hopefully. I would like to hear what it was like, right? As layoffs were happening, as the writing is kind of on the wall. They're just like, hey, this might not be around much longer,
Well, so. GameStop isn't doing well right now, so unfortunately, that would indeed translate into Game Informer.
Next up is a very interesting one. A high school student was arrested on charges of threatening to bomb Konami. Apparently, there was a bug in Pro Evolution Soccer, and he kept losing. And he on some review sites and stuff, he put all of these these threatening messages, and they arrested him. So don't do that. Don't do that. No. Don't send. Look, we talked about The Last of Us Part 2 at the start of this.
Yeah.
Some of the actors are getting death threats.
Which is
fucking wild. Don't do that shit. It's uncalled for. It is unnecessary. If
it's dumb that it's happening.
If that is something
they are actors, they are not the character.
Yeah, they are not their characters, and if that is something you feel the need to do, you seriously need to rethink some things in your life. That is not something you should be doing whatsoever. Jeez. Anyways, Twitch has broken their first quarter record with 5 billion total hours watched here in Q2. And they broke a few other records, which, makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone is still stuck at home. Good on them. Still.
Twitch keeps getting bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger.
I think the thing that I read said that they're like 68 or 69% of the market share.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Huge. Next up, Discord is moving away from its gaming roots. You guys don't know, Discord is a chat program similar to Slack, or if you've used programs like TeamSpeak or Skype, this is a very similar product, but this one was built specifically with gamers in mind. They tried at one point to launch their own gaming store. Didn't really work out. They ended up shutting that down. And I think now, especially with the pandemic and with people just needing a way to communicate, I think they saw an opportunity to just be like, hey, we can serve a lot more people than just gamers here. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense on the current environment. I mean, I lately for college stuff have been used Discord a lot, not because of gaming, but because it's a convenient way to actually talk to other people and plan stuff out.
Free, you can do voice chat, you can do video chat, all sorts of stuff.
Show your screen and all that.
A whole bunch of chat rooms.
And also, I know that Kind of Funny is using it a lot to actually record their own shows.
Yeah.
So it isn't surprising to me that they are now trying to move away from gaming, because I think Discord can be so much more than just that.
Yeah, I mean, it already kind of is, but it's just that their marketing is so much like, hey, you're a gamer, we're gamers too, you know, hopefully this works out, because I also really like Discord. I think they're a great platform.
Yeah.
And last but not least, a little bit before we started recording, apparently some Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay has been leaked,
which I have watched.
I've seen a couple screenshots. If you're not wanting to get spoiled on stuff like that, I don't know how much story relevant stuff is in there.
I don't know. I found a video. I didn't watch my out.
Yeah, I mean, just be aware that stuff is now out there if you are wanting to go in blind to that.
Yeah, there is story here.
Game.
I'm looking at it. There is a story here.
Okay. So yeah. But if you don't really care, then yeah, it seems like typical Assassin's Creed gameplay according to the newer RPG like ones. So
yeah, from this video it reminds me a lot of Odyssey.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like it. It looks like it plays a lot like Odyssey, but they've added some stuff here and there to the gameplay. But it mostly looks like Odyssey. Although something I've seen people talk about on Twitter is that it kind of looks like The Witcher, which I do share looking at the video here. Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. That stuff is out there. If you guys want to go
we finally got
down.
Valhalla
gameplay,
right? Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, well, that wraps up our upper runners. So, Ignacio, what are you looking forward to this week?
being the Iron Man more.
I am Iron Man.
I think that's two different songs put together. But yeah, no, playing more Iron Man VR, and yeah, keep playing Breath of the Wild.
Okay,
I don't have
good
anything
stuff.
else planned to play.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm still chugging along in Gears Tactics. I'm hoping to get almost done with that one. I'm kind of at the point where I'm just like, yeah, I kind of want to move on to something else. But yeah, and then we'll see how far I get with Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I mean, Blind Forest. Ori and the Blind Forest. That's the one. We'll see. I'm excited. We are getting ever closer to Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, that's what, in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
2 weeks. I think it comes out on the 17th.
Yeah.
So here you go, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be here soon. I cannot wait. Stuff. Ignacio, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojas B. That's IGNACIOROJASB. My name.
So you guys can find me at Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to stay up to date with our shows, we are on Twitter at the Whatnauts. Go like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. I think we're sitting at 78 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So we are still pushing for 100 on that stuff. That's where we put all of our podcasts up, including our other shows. So yeah, we would love for you guys to come join us on those ones as well. But with that said, let's get out of here. This has been episode 32. We'll be back next week for episode 33. Until then, goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. We hope you enjoyed that one. Let us know in the comments down below if you guys wouldn't mind paying $70 for a new game next generation, or do you think they should stay the same at $60? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, go subscribe to our channel right up here in this corner up there, and go watch one of our other videos, whatever that one might be, right down there. That would help us out a ton. And until next time, goodbye.